Hello and welcome to Crushing Comics. My name is Peter and I'm here to fall in love with my comic book collection, both my existing collection here on the shelves and sometimes new books, which come to me hauled all the way around the world from the United States, where I purchase them from our good friends at In Stock Trades. They're really one of the most reliable places that you can get collected editions sent to you in pretty good condition and pretty quickly. If you live in the States, sorry Europeans, I have no help for you. And the best part is that they send you these nifty shipping pillows. They're pretty comfortable, but you could smother, so I would not actually give them to your children for that reason. This was my order from some time that's not specified. Oh, the 1st of January of 2019. So this is my first set of 2019 books to arrive here in Wellington, New Zealand. Let's see what I got. A couple of things here. So this is New Warriors, Darkness and Light. It collects New Warriors 27 through 36, as well as a crossover into, oh no, not a crossover, as well as Night Thrasher's first series. I thought it collected a crossover to X-Force, but Darkness and Light was not a crossover to X-Force. It just was a story in New Mutants that also starred Cloak and Dagger, or I'm sorry, New Warriors that also starred Cloak and Dagger. This is actually kind of the next book of New Warriors Classic. Marvel did release 3 New Warriors Classics, which did take us up through issue number 26. Marvel then has long since killed the classic line for everything except for Deadpool, seemingly, but they do want to continue these series. I found it a little bit weird, honestly, because who even has those books? I went looking for them when this came out to see if I had enough books to marry up to this, and I actually only had one of them because it had New Mutants issues in it, so then I had to get 2 of them that were out of print, which is really hard to do from New Zealand, where probably they're not anywhere in the country for sale at a reasonable price out of print, even though they're like $4 on Amazon in the aftermarket, but you can't get those people to ship to another country. Long story short, I did wind up getting them, and so this is really classic number 4, but it begs the question, why wouldn't Marvel just make them an epic line, right? You could probably knock out New Warriors and epic lines in like a 3 or 4 epic edition series, and they've done that with some other series that are quite short, and they're like, nope, we're going to do it in epics, like New Mutants. New Mutants is only a 100-issue series plus the original graphic novel and I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 annuals, but they're doing it in epics. So why not do that same thing with New Warriors, which was 75 issues, but also had the Night Thrasher series and then a subsequent brief New Warriors series in 1999. I don't know why, because I guess they're just going to keep releasing these with individual titles, but it's like, nobody cared. Well, people care. New Warriors was actually a really good book. Fabian Nicieza wrote almost the entire thing. They're a really good team as family book at Marvel. But my point is, like, nobody in the long term, I don't think, is going to keep caring enough to keep buying from issue 37 to 75 if they keep putting them out in these paperbacks. If they called it an epic collection, though, people would have cared because people care about epic collections. Just, you know, this marketing advice is free, Marvel, until you want to actually hire me, which I would be happy to work for you and help you sell your beautiful comic books. So here's something else that I've been waiting for a while. It is Gambit, the Complete Collection, Volume 2. So this is the second half of Gambit's 1999 ongoing series. It ran for 25 issues. This is issues number 12 through 25 and annual 2000. I have actually not read much of this series, but it's a lot of him in the Thieves Guild. He faces off against like Bullseye, Sabretooth. It's a lot of fun stuff. Constrictor, Zaran, Deadpool, and Archangel, plus a new Executioner and Ego the Living Planet. I have this whole run in floppy. I originally intended to bind it. I still might. I did this really fun project where I looked at every Gambit appearance from when he first appeared up through here, and I tried to pick out all of his key guest appearances somewhere else so I could make my own Gambit companion, which I'm sure if they ever made a Gambit movie, Marvel will be right on getting those issues into a collected edition. But until they do, I could do it myself, except for now I don't have to with this series because it's been covered in 2 paperbacks. Let's see what else we've got here. Moon Knight Epic. This is the 3rd in a sequential run of Epic collections. It is titled Final Rest, and it is the end of Moon Knight's original ongoing series, issues 24 through 38. Recently, the Omnibus Collectors Facebook group that I'm a big part of, and I love all of the advice and opinions of the folks there, were listing out their favorite Epic collections, and actually the most commented favorite Epic collection line was Moon Knight. This is all original Moon Knight. This wraps up his original series that was written by his creator, Doug Munch, and with a lot of illustration from Bill Sienkiewicz, and you can't go wrong. It's fantastic comics. I've read some of it, but not all of it, but it's it's so classic, and it's so great to see that this stuff that has been overlooked for a really long time is finally seeing collection. This is the first color collection of any of the issues in this Epic collection. Highly, highly recommended. I am a big Moon Knight fan. Then we have a couple of shorter things here. We have Aphrodite V, or as I believe it actually stands for 5. This is a Top Cow book. I buy all of these Top Cow kind of Cyberforce adjacent books out of habit, but I haven't sat down to read them yet. I have a reading schedule, and I think the first chance I'll have to read them is like November of this year. It's pretty intense here. A new Lumberjanes, except for this is, what is this? Lumberjanes number 10. And it is Parents' Day. It seems really short. It seems like shorter than your typical Lumberjanes. My daughter loves Lumberjanes. It is officially parent approved. I'm happy to hand it to her anytime. There can be some difficult topics in it sometimes, but totally worth it because it always treats them with a lot of thought. And this does have the normal amount of issues. It just feels really, really tiny. Highly, highly recommended to get your kids, no matter their gender or age, into Lumberjanes. And then Marvel has this new line of books, Marvel Knights, that they're reprinting a lot of the Marvel Knights branded books from the early 2000s. It's like your standard collection. It's on standard glossy paper. It just has this special text treatment on the cover. And this fills in a big gap of Daredevil, or maybe a part of Daredevil that you would have had to track down some really obscure collections. Daredevil Ninja 1 through 3, Daredevil and Spider-Man 1 through 4. I do have those collected, but then also Daredevil 20 through 25 and 51 through 55, which were the gaps around the Brian Bendis parts of Daredevil. So if you have all of the Brian Bendis complete collections of Daredevil or the Brian Bendis omnibuses, you probably also want this because it fills in around them, and Bendis actually wrote Ninja, the miniseries, so this is, you could kind of call this the Brian Bendis Daredevil companion, more companions. Right? Okay, let's see what else is in here. Oh my goodness! So this Quasar collection that I have on the top here, Quasar Cosmos in Collision, is actually the same story as the new Warriors collection. Who in the name of Psylocke is buying Quasar collections other than me? Only crazy people like me, I guess. He's not appearing anywhere. This is not considered to be particularly classic. It doesn't tie in strongly to anything happening at Marvel right now. I can't explain it. And yet again, this was a Marvel Classic collection. There is a Quasar Classic Collection, Volume 1, that this follows, and it could have been called Classic Collection Volume 2, but it's not. But that's been long out of print, so only people who have that would want to buy this. It makes no sense. Marvel, hire me. We could do better. Again, and Quasar is a series that I think is like 60-ish issues long. Could have easily been taken care of in 3 Epic collections. Then I also have Punisher, Circle of Blood Epic Collection. This is technically Punisher Epic Collection number 2, even though it collects from the first issue of his first limited series, Punisher 1986, 1 through 5, and then into his 1987 series. But they put, basically Volume 1 is going to be all of the Punisher appearances from preceding that, which they've now issued as an omnibus. It's also been an essential volume, and that would be Volume 1 because this is Volume 2. Punisher had a lot of comic books in the 90s. He had 3 ongoing series, which was, I think, the second highest in Marvel for any one character other than Spider-Man. There was a lot of Punisher, and interestingly, this Epic line is only following his main Punisher series. It's not following all of those other series as they integrate. So it'll be interesting to see if Marvel keeps up with collecting them in kind of like side editions. I think it's really an interesting choice, honestly, because some of these series that are paired so tightly, really they could have collected the whole line into Epic collections. That's true for Spider-Man. Like, it's weird to pick up an Amazing Spider-Man Epic collection where only one issue crosses over to Web of Spider-Man or Spectacular Spider-Man, but clearly they're all happening and they're integrated, so why wouldn't you integrate them into a single series of Epic collections? Because the story bounced around. Maybe not as much as like Triangle Period Superman, which is when each Superman issue had a little triangle box on the cover that had the number, the sequencing number for where to read it in order. And really his story just went around all of the Superman titles every single month. Spider-Man was not quite that integrated. Usually arcs happened in each individual title, and then every 2 or 3 arcs they would cross over. But it kind of bugs me that they're not all in the same Epic collections. Same goes for Punisher. It looks like they are going to collect crossing over Punisher in Epic collections as crossovers, but then in between you're going to miss all the other stuff from those series. And then my third one would be X-Men with Uncanny X-Men. Clearly X-Men should be integrated with Uncanny X-Men, but we don't have any Epic collections yet past Mutant Genesis, which stops at X-Men number 3, so we don't know if that's going to be a problem or not. I would also kind of put Wolverine into that same category because Wolverine pretty much starred the entire time that he was in his own title for the first, like, 5 years in Marvel Comics Presents. He's almost in every issue of Marvel Comics Presents, but they're not comprehensively, it doesn't seem like, going to be collected in the Wolverine Epics. Well, I have some opinions about that. The other book I have here is BPRD, Hell on Earth number 4. This collects the second sequence of BPRD stories that spin out from Hellboy, all of which is actually directly behind me right here. And I do not know... Wait, this is number 4. That's number 2. Uh-oh, we might have a missing child alert. The thing is, I don't really know a lot about Hellboy, and you would have to ask yourself, or me, why do you keep buying these, Peter? Yeah, number 3's back there, we're safe. If you haven't read anything, well, FOMO, basically. I have fear of missing out, that if I don't buy them now, they're going to get hard to find, and some of these BPRD books did get very hard to find. That's why I went in on them when I did, because number 2 is getting really hard to find. And I have it on my map to read this year, this legendary map. You should see it. I mean, I'm trying to read at least 4,003 comic books this year, because I read 4,002 comic books last year. So we'll see if I make it all the way to all these things I claim I'm going to read, plus reading comic books every single week. That's it for this haul around the world from the United States here to Wellington, New Zealand. So there's a little peek at the things that I'm buying. Just as a reminder, I don't actually buy any collections of new comic books except for really amazing indie series because I've converted all to digital for that. So that is why you only see me unpack things that are from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and sometimes early 2000s. It's not because I don't like new comics. I actually love new comics. I read dozens of comic books every week that are out each week, but I do not collect them physically. So thank you so much for tuning in for this haul around the world and for your support. And thank you for watching another episode of Crushing Comics.